I'm 62 years old, and tonight I'm going to betray the secret my friends and I keep behind closed doors. When we call you an hour before dinner to say something came up, it is almost never a real emergency. We tell you it is the grandkids or a sudden migraine, but the truth is much darker than a headache. Most of the time, we are just testing how much of your dignity you are willing to trade for a chance to see us. You do not have 20 years to waste waiting for a woman who is playing games. I need you to listen closely because what I am about to reveal will save your peace and your remaining years. My friends would be furious if they knew I was telling you this, but I cannot watch good men be treated like backup plans. Stay with me, because once you see these moves, she will never trick you again. Look, the first thing you need to recognize is the way we test your compliance. It's a simple move to see who is really in charge of the clock. We throw a wrench in the plans at the last minute, just to watch how you scramble. It is a calculated test to see if you have a backbone or if you are already under our thumb. Think of it like a border check on your personal sovereignty. We are testing the fences of your dignity to see if there are any holes we can slip through later. If we cancel and you immediately start offering 5 other nights just to make it work, you have failed. You are telling us that your time is worth nothing and that our whims are the law of your life. Then there is what my friends and I call window shopping, or the validation harvest. Sometimes, women like me don't even want to go on the date at all. We just want to know that we can still get a man like you to put on a clean shirt and make a reservation. Once you say yes and the plan is set, the mission is already over for us. At our stage of life, many women feel invisible to the world, so we use men as attention fixers to feel relevant again. We text, we flirt, and we build up the anticipation, but we have no intention of leaving the comfort of our homes. The moment the reality of the date looms, we retreat. We got the high from your interest, and now the meeting feels like a chore. You end up being a free therapist for a ghost. You have wasted your emotional energy on someone who was never really there. And the worst part is that you probably thanked her for the rejection. That is the moment you become an option instead of a priority. Stop being the guy who thanks his thief for leaving the crumbs behind. We test and you react, while we measure your desperation so you can decide your worth. It is a cycle that repeats until you finally decide to break it. If she cancels and you chase her to reschedule, you have handed her the remote control to your peace of mind. You are teaching her exactly how to treat you for the rest of your life. Don't be the man who stays home waiting for a maybe while she goes out with the people she actually respects. If she doesn't treat your time like a non-renewable resource, she doesn't deserve another minute of it. A woman who truly values you will move mountains to keep the plan. Anything else is just noise and a waste of your years. But there is something even more subtle than these games, a shadow from the past that dictates her every move. Sometimes the cancellation isn't about you at all, but about a man you have never even met. I need to tell you about the ghosts we carry. If you don't understand this filter, you will spend your remaining years walking on eggshells for no reason. Look, there is a ghost in the room that you can't see, but she feels his cold breath every time you get too close. At our age, we aren't just coming to the table with a purse and a smile. We are carrying decades of heavy luggage. Sometimes she cancels not because of anything you did, but because you did it exactly like the man who broke her heart 30 years ago. It is a reflex, a flinch from a blow that landed in another century. You are being punished for a crime committed by a man you have never even met. It sounds unfair, because it is, But for many women my age, the sofa is a fortress. When this ghost of the ex filter kicks in, any small gesture you make, a certain tone of voice, or a specific way of planning, triggers a silent alarm. She cancels because she would rather stay in her shell than risk being that woman who gets fooled again by someone new. Think of it like a faulty smoke detector in an old house. The batteries are low, and it starts screaming even when there isn't a fire. She isn't seeing you, she's seeing a montage of every disappointment she's ever survived. You can spend your remaining years trying to prove you aren't that guy, but you'll only end up walking on eggshells for a stranger. You cannot fix a trauma that isn't yours to carry, and your time is too precious for such burdens. But there is another layer to this, one that is less about fear and more about cold, hard math. It is what I call the better offer hierarchy. It sounds harsh, but sometimes we cancel simply because something more comfortable came along. And I'm not talking about another man. Often it's her wine group, her grandkids, or even just the blissful silence of her own living room. If she doesn't see you as a priority, you are just an insurance policy. In our 60s, we become fiercely protective of our routines and our peace. If the effort of putting on makeup and driving to a restaurant feels heavier than the excitement of seeing you, she will pull the plug. You are the plan B in her life, the option she keeps on the hook just in case her primary sources of joy fall through. When she says something came up, she often means her desire for comfort outweighed her curiosity about your presence. Believe me, a woman who truly respects you would never risk losing you over a sudden craving for pajamas. When we value a man, we move heaven and earth to be there. We don't let a long day or a bit of a headache stand in the way of a connection we actually want. If she treats your time like a suggestion rather than a commitment, she is showing you exactly where you rank in her world, and it isn't high. This is the moment where your old-school chivalry becomes a dangerous trap. You were raised to be understanding, to be a gentleman who gives her the benefit of the doubt. But in this game, your politeness is being weaponized against you. Every time you say, "It's okay, we can try again next week," you are telling her that your schedule is a revolving door. You are teaching her that she can disrespect you and your calendar for absolutely no cost. I want you to look back at the last 3 times a woman canceled on you at the very last minute. Was it really a life-altering emergency, or was she just measuring how much of yourself you were willing to give away for a maybe? Ask yourself if you are looking for a partner who values your presence, or if you have accidentally become a voluntary participant in her own private validation game. Is this how you want to spend your final act? Now that you see the moves, we need to talk about the why. Why do women like me, who seem so lonely, throw away a perfectly good man's evening? It isn't just about being mean, flighty, or disorganized. There is a deep, silent engine driving these choices that most men never even suspect exists behind our smiles and our polite excuses. You have to understand that at our age, our homes are our cathedrals. We have spent decades dealing with other people's messes, demands, and noise. Now we finally have the silence we fought for. As the clock ticks toward the date, that silence starts to feel more precious than any conversation you could offer. We cancel because we are terrified of losing the peace we just found. The truth is, many of us are more in love with our routines than we are with the idea of an actual partner. We say we want companionship, but when the moment of truth arrives, We realize that having a man around means giving up the remote control and the quiet. We aren't ready to pay that price yet, so we retreat to our safe, familiar habits. We look at our clean kitchens and our quiet living rooms, and we see you as a potential disruptor. You aren't just a man, you are a set of habits and needs that might overwrite our own. That last-minute cancellation is a panic button. It's a way for us to pull the bridge back up before you can even cross the moat. We choose solitude over risk. We desperately want the attention that comes with a new relationship, but we are absolutely terrified of the heavy reality of having one. We want the texts, the compliments, and the feeling of being chosen, but we don't want the compromise. The cancellation is our way of keeping the fantasy alive while avoiding the actual human work involved in meeting you in person. Think of it like a turtle that sticks its head out to see the sun, but refuses to leave its shell. We want to feel desired and seen, but we don't want to do the work of blending two lives together. When we cancel, we are retreating back into our armor. We get the high of your interest without the danger of letting you inside. This is what I call the fear of the invasive species. We have seen friends lose their identities in marriages that drained them dry. We look at you and we wonder if you are the one who will start moving our furniture or judging our hobbies. Instead of talking about it, we just send that text and breathe a sigh of relief as we lock the door. A woman who is truly ready for you will make space in her life, not just excuses in a text message. Stop trying to force your way into a fortress that is intentionally bolted from the inside. Your time is far too valuable to spend begging for a seat in a room she refuses to open for anyone. You deserve a priority, not a maybe. Look, I need to tell you something that isn't pleasant to hear. Many women my age are haunted by a past they refuse to bury. We aren't just sitting in our living rooms. We are replaying every betrayal from men who didn't deserve our youth. When we cancel on you, it's often because your genuine kindness feels like a trap we've escaped before. We would rather stay alone than risk being the fool one last time. It's a defense mechanism that quietly kills our own happiness. We choose the ghost we know over the man we don't. It's a sad, silent trade we make every weekend to protect our fragile hearts. And you know what's worse? Sometimes we cancel simply because a more comfortable offer came up. And I'm not talking about another man. It's the wine group, the grandkids, or just the blissful silence of our own living room. If the effort of putting on makeup and driving to a restaurant feels heavier than the excitement of seeing you, we will pull the plug. To us, you are just an insurance policy against a boring Saturday night, not a priority worth the trouble. We weigh your presence against our pajamas, and quite often, the pajamas win. We tell you something came up to hide the fact that we just didn't feel like the work of being social. You are being measured against the comfort of her routine, and if you don't stand out, you're discarded without a second thought. She treats your time like a suggestion, not a commitment. To her, you are a maybe kept on the hook just in case her primary sources of joy fall through. Finally, you must understand the fear of the invasive species. At our age, we are fiercely protective of the peace we fought so hard to find after decades of chaos. We look at you and we don't just see a man, we see a set of habits and needs that might overwrite our own. We cancel because we are terrified of losing the remote control or the quiet we finally earned. We choose solitude over the risk of compromise. She is like a turtle that wants to look at the sun but refuses to leave the safety of her shell. She wants to be seen, but she won't let you inside. I'm telling you this because you must stop begging for a seat in a room she refuses to open. Every time you accept a weak excuse, you tell her your time is worth nothing. You deserve a woman who is ready to make space, not one who treats you like an invader. Stop playing a game where the rules are specifically designed to keep you on the outside, forever looking in. Look, I've pulled back the curtain on the things my friends would never want you to know. The headaches and the sudden family emergencies are usually just screens. We use these small lies to protect our comfort and to see just how much of your dignity you'll set on fire to keep us warm. At our stage of life, a woman who truly wants to be with you will find a way, not an excuse. If she isn't making a path, she is building a wall. You must realize that your time isn't just a number on a calendar anymore. It is your most precious, non-renewable resource. Every hour you spend waiting for a maybe is an hour you've stolen from your own peace of mind. We women in our 60s are experts at gatekeeping our hearts, but some of us have forgotten how to be honest about our fears. Stop being the man who accepts the crumbs of a woman's possibility when you deserve the full seat at her table. It is a hard truth to hear, especially when the chivalry you were raised with is being used as a handle to open the door to your own disappointment. You were taught to be a gentleman, but in this game, your politeness has become your prison. Think about the weight of your own life for a moment. You've worked hard, you've survived the storms, and you've earned the right to a partner who respects your schedule as much as her own. When she cancels at the last minute, she isn't just missing a dinner. She is telling you that her whim is more important than your existence. A man of your experience should never be a backup plan for a woman who is just bored or scared of the silence. You are a man with a legacy, not a weekend hobby. From now on, when that text comes in an hour before the date, don't scramble or offer other nights. Just say you understand, and then go live your life. Show her, and more importantly, show yourself, that your happiness doesn't depend on her permission. When you stop chasing the maybe, the yes that actually matters will finally find its way to you. A woman who respects you will move mountains to be there. Anything else is just noise that deserves to be silenced. Every week, I reveal more of the truths that other women my age would never admit to your face. Subscribe for more revelations so you are never caught off guard or treated like an option again. Tell me in the comments, what was the most creative excuse a woman ever gave you to cancel a date? Your experience could be the warning that saves another man's peace. You aren't alone in this journey, and it's time we put these games to rest once and for all. You don't have to play this game anymore. You are finally free to walk away and protect the peace you have worked so hard to earn. Your peace is not negotiable.